Y'all already know my history with Stephen King. Let's get into it. Hey there, creepy peeps. I'm Nightmare Maven. Welcome back to my channel. If you happen to be new here, I talk about horror movies, books, sometimes horror movies and books like this video all year round, so you should subscribe. Period. End of sentence. So before I went to go see The Boogeyman this weekend, I decided to read the short story that it was based off of from Stephen King's Night Shift collection. I'm going to share my thoughts on the short story really quickly. It will involve me talking about the end, but it's only spoilers for the short story because the story is completely different from the movie. So the short story takes place in a psychiatrist's office where Lester Billings has gone to recount what happened to his children and how this boogeyman entity killed them one by one. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. There were some really good scary parts in here, especially the descriptions of how the boogeyman leaves these poor children. It's really disturbing, actually. And the short story does have a fun, I thought it was fun, kind of twist ending where it is revealed that Lester's been talking to the boogeyman the whole time. Billings stood rooted to the spot as the closet door swung open. He dimly felt warmth at his crotch as he wet himself. "So nice," the boogeyman said as it shambled out. It still held its Dr. Harper mask in one rotted spade claw hand. I really like that moment. It's a bit of mystery. It ends quite abruptly, so it's like, is Lester dreaming? Is this actually happening? And is this the way the boogeyman kind of manipulates his victims? Super scary. I will say, as a character in the short story, did not care about Lester at all. He's an asshole. It's kind of hard to tell, but all of the green tabs in here are every time Lester says something racist, sexist, just plain fucking mean. He's a dick. But the story itself is fine and really quite dark. Stephen King isn't a stranger to putting fictional children in very dangerous situations. But this one felt more sinister. I can't quite put my finger on it. But like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, the movie is completely different. Actually, it's more like they just took away the ending of the short story and then the movie is just a continuation. The movie is directed by Rob Savage, and this adaptation of Stephen King's short story follows psychiatrist Dr. Harper, as I said Lester is going to see in the short story. But this time it also includes Dr. Harper's daughters, who are reeling from the death of their mother. Lester comes to see Dr. Harper, and he ends up leaving behind this terrifying entity that preys on the pain of families. So going into this movie, I already knew it was going to be 50-50 because I loved Host, hated Dashcam. This movie was dark, and I mean that literally. Even when people turned on lights in the movie, it barely changed anything in the scene. And obviously this reflects the trauma that the Harper family is facing, you know, like this metaphorical dark period in their life is made literal. And because of this darkness, you couldn't even really see the boogeyman even when we were supposed to be seeing him. It was almost the perfect combination of showing the scary thing and leaving it to your imagination. And there's this idea throughout the movie that the dark itself is really the villain. It's a fear most of us have had since we were kids, you know, like a dark closet or a room or a hallway or under the bed space, and just the endless potential of terrifying things that could be staring back at you from that darkness. It's pretty much a universal fear that this movie is trying to tap into, and I think it does it pretty well. I thought the movie had a good balance of jump scares and non-jump scares. I'm a fraidy cat and will always be afraid of like pinprick eyes just staring out of like a darkened closet or a darkened room. I don't care what anybody says, that is fucking scary 100% of the time. And they had some pretty good prop gags in the movie too, especially that light ball, like moon looking thing. The fucking genius gag that they managed to not overuse. Although, even if they did overuse it, I think I would have fully understood and would have been okay with it ultimately. And apparently that light ball thing was a last minute change. It was going to be a lightsaber, but Vivian Lyra Blair, who plays Sawyer, is also Princess Leia in a Star Wars thing, and Disney didn't want her waving around a shit lightsaber, I guess. Whatever, the light ball was way cooler. I read in an interview with the director, Rob Savage, that they got it off of Amazon, and honestly, if I can find it, I'm getting one. So The Boogeyman was originally going to premiere on Hulu and just go straight to streaming, but it ended up getting a theatrical release. Now I know that streaming has affected theater going according to people, I guess. I don't really know where this is happening because every weekend the theater I go to is fucking packed. Nowadays, like with streaming being so commonplace now, it's not as new of a thing. I don't think it's as bad when a movie premieres straight to VOD or straight to streaming. And sometimes I think it going straight to streaming and kind of forcing people to watch it at home or watch it on their laptops fits the movie's premise a bit more. Hello, host. So while The Boogeyman didn't have any like internet specific gags, I couldn't help but think as I was watching the movie how much more terrified I would have been if I had been watching this in my house at night all by myself with all the lights out. There are definitely some scenes in the movie I would have straight up pissed my pants. I do love the theater experience, but I have to admit I was a little too comforted with all the people that were in the theater. And as I mentioned, my theater was fucking packed when I went to go see this yesterday. So I was literally surrounded by people. Little less scary that way. All of that being said, I found the movie as a whole to be a little bit predictable. It felt very much like 1,000 other horror movies I've seen before. Similar message, similar character arc, similar scares. The unique bits just didn't shine through enough for me to really carry this movie. And I think they had the potential to make this a little cooler, albeit darker, if they had used a bit more inspo from the original story. And I will share my kind of like alternate idea for the Boogeyman movie at the end, because I feel like it could potentially be a little spoilery, even just in the sense of I'm telling you what definitely is not going to happen in the movie. So those of you that are watching this video right now and you haven't seen it yet, I would definitely recommend checking it out if you're looking for a fun, kind of just like casual horror movie to go see with your friends this weekend, or if you're like me, just by yourself. And if you, after this video, decide you're gonna wait for it to hit streaming, I would love to hear if it hits different for you. So if you can remember, please come tell me about it when you finally see it. Okay, so director Maven, alternate version of the Boogeyman time. So as I said, the short story ends with the reveal that the Boogeyman has kind of been wearing Dr. Harper like a mask, right? The way the dad was acting in the movie, honestly, a little sus. I was already like low-key expecting him to be the Boogeyman, you know, especially after having read the short story. Like just imagine the dad's inability to process his own emotions and feelings about his wife's death, while also being expected obviously to be there for his daughters who are hurting as well, and failing to do so makes him into the Boogeyman, you know? But then you have like the added dope reveal that the literal monster is wearing dad like a costume. Like, right? I don't know. I just feel like that might have been a cooler movie. I don't know. Maybe I'm not meant to write movies. Not that that's ever been an aspiration of mine, just spitballing here. But now that I'm thinking about my alternate story, I think I just have daddy issues, don't I? Give this video a like if you think I should seek therapy. If you found yourself enjoying this video at any point during the past however many minutes long this is, you should subscribe for more slightly unhinged horror movie reviews. I'll see you very soon with another probably slightly unhinged video. Until then, stay strange. Bye.